Kulttiohjaaja Gary Sherman kävi Helsingissä Night Visions-festivaalien kunniavieraana. Nyt saamme nähdä, mitä kaikkia mukavaa nauhalle tarttui juttelutuokiossa Elitistin kanssa.
Rolling.
Okay.
Yes. You're welcome. I made a film in London called Deathline, and then what happened was that we had made the film for Rank Fox in England and for Europe, and we had not sold the United States. And we go back to our office and call the people who financed the picture in New York to tell them that we sold the movie, and they said, "Oh, sorry, we sold it already." I said, "You sold it already?" And they said, "Yeah, we sold it to AIP, American International Pictures, Samuel Z. Arkoff." And I went, "Oh no, that's about the worst news I've ever heard." And so once Samuel Z. Arkoff had his grimy little paws on the movie, they recut it. They cut out the tracking shot, which is probably one of the reasons that Deathline became as famous as it did. Because Samuel Z. Arkoff didn't feel that the great unwashed, which is what he called his audience, would understand a shot like that, or understand the comedy, or understand... They even wanted to redub Donald Pleasance because they didn't think the American audience could understand him. And then they named it Raw Meat, and they did an advertising campaign that looked like it was some other movie.
Neither men nor women, they are less than animals. The raw meat of the human race. Who stalks those deadly shadows? An experience in ultimate terror. So fearful that no additional scenes can be shown in this preview.
Raw Meat was never my film. The retitling of Deathline into Raw Meat was totally through the very sick exploitation mind of AIP Pictures. I wanted nothing to do with it. And it actually is why I didn't make another movie for 9 years, because I was so upset with the way that Deathline was handled in the United States, and that it became raw meat. I didn't want to make another movie.
This is my manor, and the villains in it are mine.
Well, you're welcome to them, old thing, so why don't you just run along and arrest a few?
Missing persons are my concern too.
Yes. Missing dentists, missing greengrocers. But this particular missing person, as far as you're concerned, Inspector, is no longer missing.
Two of my heroes, Orson Welles and Alfred Hitchcock, had done unbelievably long tracking shots in some of their films. I mean, and I just loved movies. There was no reason to have cuts. And I'd been doing commercials for years, and I really got into moving the camera. And I thought, God, this could be an amazing shot. And it does a 360 pan of the room, and then it backs up and comes through the window. The camera actually seems to come through the small window in the door, then just backs away and keeps moving away from the man's lair, and it moves down the tracks, and it moves almost a quarter of a mile in the 7.5 minutes of the shot. And then it moves into the where the tunnel had collapsed, separating the world of these people who were trapped from our world up above. When we were setting up to do the shot, my producers were very worried that the shot was going to work or not. And you know, we had a pretty short shooting schedule on Deadline, and so I was shooting like 30 setups a day. You know, I mean, it was just unbelievable. We were just cutting through the script, and Jay Cantor and Alan Jr., who had only really done big budget movies before then, you know, would come down. They were so excited to ask me, how many setups you do today, Gare? You know, and I'd say, oh, we did 27 setups today. And they go, wow, 27 setups. And, you know, boom, they'd be all excited. So the day we were doing the tracking shot, they came down at the end of the day and said, so how many setups did you do today? And I said, we didn't shoot any film today at all. And they said, you didn't shoot any film? I said, no, we've been rehearsing and lighting the tracking shot all day today. And I think everybody's tired, so we're going to shoot it first thing in the morning. It'll take us about an hour to do a couple of takes, and we'll have it in the can, and then we'll shoot the rest of the day tomorrow, and I'll make up for all the setups we didn't do. And they said, oh my God, I mean, you sure it's going to work? And I said, yeah, it'll be fine. And I said, and also we'll have, you know, like 8 minutes of screen time in the can within the first hour tomorrow. What the film looks like to me is extremely important. I mean, I began life as a still photographer, and images are really important to me, and every part of an image, the depth of an image, the shape of an image, the kind of lenses I use, because all lenses bend light in different ways, and I'm very aware of, I don't pick a lens because of the size of the set. I pick a lens because of the focal length and how it's going to bend light. I shoot actually with a very limited palette of lenses because I like it to look like the human eye, and I'm very aware of the focal length of the human eye, and so I try and stay in that area. I knew what I wanted Deathline to look like. I knew what I wanted Dead and Buried to look like, and we spent a lot of time getting the films to look like what they were going to look like, and in very different ways. On Deathline, because the tunnels are so dark, and film stock in 1972 was very, very slow. The fastest film stock around was Kodak made a stock called 5247, which had an ASA of 100. I'm sure the camera you're shooting with right now has an ISO of about 15,000. And and we're shooting at an ASA of 100, which is, you need to throw a lot of light onto that negative to get an exposure. Alex Thompson, who is a brilliant cinematographer, came up with the idea of, well, we don't have the money to negative fill. Negative fill is you throw some light into the black areas so you get some exposure. We don't have enough money to do that, so why don't we put light on the film before we put it in the camera? And we came up with the idea of pre-flashing all of the negative stock, running it through a printer and giving it some exposure before we loaded it into the camera to shoot it. And then we did experiments with it, and we came up with a filter pack that put a brown hue on the film, so that any place that there was no light that hit the negative was brown. And that's what gave Deathline its look. That's why it looks so creepy.
Well, Mr. Dobbs is our official coroner mortician. What would you say the cause of death was?
This is all Dobbs's puppet show. That's what this was all about. It's all Dobbs' puppet show. Like Deathline, Dead and Buried was another political treatise for me. You know, it was about class distinction. It was about dictatorial governments. It was, you know, horror is the best genre in the world to hide political messages behind. On Dead and Buried, we wanted fog. And there's fog everywhere. Day, night. We shot in fog. When I was location scouting up in Mendocino, and at night it was always foggy. I was up there doing the location scouts, I think in December, and just the fog at night is just really thick, and that's all you hear is ooh.
All right then. Don't tell me. No, don't tell me anything about bolts, my friend, because I have spent my entire life doing bolts. Big bolts. Little bolts. Besides, discussion is terminated as far as I am concerned. Bolts.
Smile.
I'm so glad to see you feeling better. I'm very close call. You're gonna be all right. Just lie still. I'm gonna give you something. It's gonna make you feel even better.
When we did Dead and Buried, we started. Avco Embassy was the studio throughout the whole picture, but Avco Embassy was not the production company. Avco Embassy was only going to distribute. And we began the film with the Guinness Company, Guinness Beer. They understood that we were making a black comedy. I mean, that's why Ron Shusett came to me to do it, because of Deathline, because Deathline was half comedy and half horror. And that's what Dead and Buried was intending to be. Guinness decided that they didn't want to be in the film business. And another company bought Guinness out. And they became the production company. So now we have a different set of circumstances when we're making the film. But we shot the script the way we wanted, and they went along with everything that I wanted to do, and that Ronnie Shusett wanted to do, and we were all pretty happy. Then we finished shooting the film, and Aspen Productions, the second production company, ends up getting bought by Producer Service Organization, which is a company owned by a guy named Mark Damon. And we have a screening of the film. Bob Ramey, who's the president of Avco Embassy, comes up to me and says, "Oh, Gary, I love the film. It's perfect." Da, 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 da. And everybody else is telling me how much they like it. And Ron is really, Ron Shusett is really excited. Everybody's excited. And Mark Damon comes up to me and puts his arm around my shoulder and walks me over to a corner and says to me, "It's a really good film. But if I wanted Bergman to direct a horror film, I would have hired Bergman. This is supposed to be a horror film. Get rid of all that comedy bullshit. Get some more violence and blood in the picture and make it into a horror movie." At which point I didn't know what I wanted to do. I mean, I was just so upset. And after, I'd gone through this with Deathline when it got sold to AIP, and that the film Raw Meat that was released in the United States was a bastardization of film that I worked very hard on. And now I've just done Dead and Buried, which is just another film I was very, very proud of. And now somebody else wanted to change it around. And, you know, you don't have the power. I mean, they want to do it, they're going to do it. They got the money, they're going to do it. So we made, I stayed in and I fought, and it wasn't changed as much as they wanted to change it. We kept a lot of the stuff that was there. I put in as little as I could that they wanted of the extra violence and stuff. And then Jay Cantor, who had been my mentor from the time I did Deathline, Jay just said to me, walk away. Don't fight. It's going to hurt your career to fight more than the changes they want to make in the picture. And Bob Ramey calls me in and says, you know what, Jay called me, Jay's right, we'll make the changes, we'll distribute the movie, and here. And he puts a stack of scripts on the table. And he says, pick one. Let's get started on another movie. And that's what happened. And I found a script in that pile called Vice Squad. I didn't like the script, but I loved the idea of the script. And I said to Bob, can we rewrite the script? I would love to do the script. The idea of a movie that starts at sunset and ends at sunrise and is a chase all the way through the movie, I think is fantastic. And what I could do with this Ramrod character, I'll make him the meanest man in the world. And he said, it's all yours, do what you want with it.
Hollywood, the dream and the nightmare.
Somebody call the cops!
Vice Squad, the real story.
Working with Rutger Hauer and Gene Simmons in Wanted Dead or Alive was an absolutely fantastic experience. The two of them could not have been further apart as human beings. I mean, you know, Rutger, well, the intensity of the two of them, they're both very intense humans. But it was fun. I mean, the three of us had a great time making the film together. It was really good. We made Wanted Dead or Alive at a completely different point in history than today. It was before 9/11. It was before all of this stuff that's going on in the world, you know, that's going on. And, you know, I made a film where Malak al-Rahim was a horrible villain, and it was only meant for that character, the Gene Simmons character, to be a horrible person. You look at Wanted Dead or Alive today, and it seems like the most anti-Islamic film that could be made. And people have talked to me, oh, you know, after 9/11, oh, they should re-release it. And I said, no way you should re-release this film now, because this film was made in a different time. And I don't want this film released again. I won't have anything to do with it if it is released again.
No. The necklace! No!
I really didn't want to do Poltergeist III. I was supposed to do Poltergeist II, and I wasn't available. And then they made Poltergeist II, and Poltergeist II did not do great. And but they wanted to make a third one. They wanted to complete the trilogy. So I agreed to make the movie. I finished that with, it wasn't from here, it wasn't from my heart that I finished that movie, and I basically I knew it wasn't scary enough. I knew the tension wasn't high enough. I knew the pace was wrong. And I could have fixed it all. I mean, if I go back into the cutting room now, I could make Poltergeist III into a really terrific movie.
I have the knowledge and the power.
The whole idea of the mirrors in Poltergeist was Alice through the looking glass. It was, you know, you go through the looking glass and you're in another dimension. And I've always been fascinated with Lewis Carroll, and when I had the opportunity to write Poltergeist III, you know, I had this idea, and the one thing that would make me really excited about doing this movie is to do all the special effects live. I want to do all the effects live. I want to, you know, I said CGI, and I saw it. I said CGI is going to overtake our industry. Every film is going to be wall-to-wall CGI, computer-generated images. Every film. That's all we're going to see. That's the future of what's going on. Let's make the last film, the last major film that uses no CGI. And I said, I can make all these effects work. And it took me months and months and months to figure out how to do it all and figure out how to do all the tricks. But, you know, Poltergeist 3 was supposed to be one just big magic trick. Because I had a great television career, and I had a great career in commercials, and I didn't need to be making movies. Not to make a living. I made movies because I loved making movies, and I loved entertaining audiences, and I loved being able to get a political message out there hidden behind something else.
We dare you to see The Maniacs Are Loose, the world's first horror movie made in hallucinogenic hypnovision. Hallucinogenic horrors not only on the screen, but in the audience all around you. It's a hallucinogenic nightmare. You are put in the middle of the picture with bloodthirsty maniacs all around you. Not only on the screen, but live maniacs in the audience. All over the theater, looking for victims. Homicidal maniacs escape from an asylum. They terrorize a community. Gullible, love-starved women become their prey. And you'll see these same bloodthirsty maniacs in the audience all around you alive. For the thrill of your life, see The Maniacs Are Loose.